Hello, our friends, Patreon family, and Heart's Home family as well.
Yes, let's not forget Heart's Home Patreons, everybody. Hello, family.
Evolutionary Energy Arts family, just hi, guys.
Hi, hello there.
So, what you're looking at here I always think to this one. This is Kiowa Island. I used to love going to Kiowa when I was living in South Carolina. Not too packed with people, and it has this UAP. This is a famous sighting. What this is, though, what we get is that this is literally a Merkaba. This is an activated light body of a being.
And you'll note that it's not got arms or legs or anything. It's just sort of floating around in the air. What is it doing? Well, it's sending information, receiving information. It's talking to those that are down on the ground. And even though we can't hear what it's saying, that being, that entity that's in that little ball there, understands everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, this was a Christmas Eve video. Maybe it was a little message. Here you can see it up close. What year was this? Wow, 2018. So this is a long time ago. This one stuck out to me as a real good, basically, idea of what a Merkaba is. It's rotating. It is exactly an activated Merkaba light body, and we've been meaning to do this video for a while. Again, we are multi-dimensional beings. What does that really mean? Well, we operate on different densities. Like when we go to sleep at night, we do leave the body and we travel about. And, is that just illusion, those dreams? Is there no reality there? Well, how much reality is really here is maybe a better question.
This is really a complicated topic because you kind of have to break it down for individual to individual to individual. Activated light body. That's something that goes around in the spiritual circles. It's a very popular word. It's a very popular thing to do. Activated light body, but what does that really mean? It's something we're going to attempt to explain to the best of our ability from what we have seen firsthand, so that people really know, okay, well, what is this thing and what do I do with it?
Every individual is completely unique, as Cindy was saying, and each one of us has a different set of past lives in different circumstances we've gone through, and we've each had a different route in this life. Now, the first thing that we should probably mention is the chakras themselves. There are literally thousands of chakras in the body. Chakras are energy vortices. They're energy gates, and they actually exist pretty much at every joint. They're around every organ, but you will see typically that people focus in on the 7 main chakras that are right along the spinal cord and up to the crown. Now, there are other chakras, not really coincidentally, I was going to say coincidentally, but not really coincidentally, that we're talking about at this time and everything, that are becoming activated, which sit below our feet and also above our head. Our consciousness is expanding. More and more chakras are going to be kind of coming online. And yet, chakras, if they are closed off, if they are stuck or not functioning properly, that can also throw a wrench in the light body being fully activated.
So when we say fully activated, we all have a light body. We all have chakras. All of that we are born with. There is this energy, and it is at the base of the spine, and it's been called kundalini. It's this thing called kundalini. And what it's going to do at some point in someone's life, most of the time, people are choosing to activate it, but it can be activated through energy work. It can be activated through the sun. It can be activated through through mind, body, breath work. And once this kundalini energy gets activated, this is going to supercharge all of your chakras. It's going to supercharge your light body. It is going to make it so that your guides and angels hear you loud and clear. What happens when this gets supercharged? Well, I can tell you from personal experience, people are going to look at you differently. They're going to look at you funny. They're going to, you may become something of a bridge when it comes to information in this world to the other world. You're going to have a deeper understanding. You're going to see past all the BS. You will change. You will change. And I want to say it does seem to really put people at odds with the system once this energy is activated and all of your chakras are supercharged. I always really talk seriously about this, because if you have a lot of trauma, this is not something you want to go around and deliberately try to activate. Because we were just talking with a family member yesterday. She's going through an activation, and this can take years. But as the kundalini energy expands, it's like a nylon. And say, well, women would know putting on nylons. Maybe it gets hooked on a fingernail, or it gets hooked on a nail, and this is, consider that nylon your energy. Well, this energy is hung up, and you have to go back and say this energy that's hung up is a trauma. So you have to go back and look at that trauma and figure out, well, how do I get this unhooked, and how do I get this to unravel, because this is uncomfortable. Yes, your traumas are going to be uncomfortable if this has been activated in you. And you don't know what's going on, but you know everything has changed about you. You can see past the system. You can see past people's BS. You suddenly have this understanding that things just are not what they seem. And if you choose to fully activate it, there's a lot of things you can do, but maybe it just gets activated and it goes back to sleep in a sense. So this is something that I don't see a lot of information on. So we are doing what we can to tell you from firsthand experience for the people that we work on. But yes, it is going to supercharge you. It's going to take the light and the photons. It's going to give them an extra oomph. And if you choose to carry on with this energy, you have the ability to make it stronger.
Yeah, this is the type of video that we can give you an overview in maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but if you want to get in depth, we could spend 10 or 15 hours. There is so much here to this, and there's so much that's been put right in front of our faces with the fact that the control system is basically, pointing out that they control our awakening and they are inhibiting our awakening. And yet there are individuals that are activated out there. As we've shared with you guys, when we were driving through the Hattiesburg, Mississippi area, we encountered a triangle that came and followed us and blasted us with radiation. Why? Well, because they were scanning people. They were, it is a military base there. But they are scanning people and looking for people with activated light bodies, and Cindy and I have activated light bodies, so we're a threat to the system, and thus they were trying to wipe out that threat by causing, in my opinion, probably cancer. And it took a lot for us to get over that blast of radiation because of our knowledge in what we've understood from studying not just health and wellness and natural healing, but also energy work, in understanding that, again, part of the processes of ascension, a major process of ascension, is this activation of the light body. And we can draw down through the different densities of our energy field positive energies that will keep making their way down throughout those layers into the physical body and then benefit the physical body. Kundalini energy is it's symbolized as a serpent, and in so many ways, when you look to that Garden of Eden, It's really talking about controlling, again, in the Bible, the Garden of Eden, the whole serpent thing. It's really about controlling about kundalini in humans, and not allowing humans to have fully activated energy bodies. Why? Well, when we're fully activated in a golden age or a silver age, I mean, we live thousands and thousands of years. We are like the gods themselves, and this is part of that reality. You can absolutely awaken kundalini. It should be done gently, and it should be done in not a rushed fashion. Kundalini, the Evolutionary Energy in Man, is a book by Gopi Krishna, which is very old, 70 years old, I want to say, something like that. And it's his story, and it landed him in a hospital and almost killed him. So, again, you want to do it gently. I think right now in this time, we have certain advantages with activation because we're being forced to activate. This is the reality. The universe itself is activating us, or trying to activate us, as the system tries to deactivate us. There is absolutely this battle ongoing over humanity, and will humanity, it's not will, it's what percentage of humanity will awaken and become fully activated. So it is Shakti energy, it is divine feminine energy. It is not just some sort of coincidence that we live in a patriarchal society, that there's no real mention of the divine feminine in the majority of the Abrahamic tradition. It is there in certain esoteric branches of the Abrahamic tradition, like the Kabbalah, again, and others. But it's represented as a coiled snake, a coiled serpent. And this is also why they inherently try to make you afraid of snakes and serpent. And it has to do with the nadis. Again, nadis are energy channels. There are thousands of nadis and energy channels in the body. But there are some major ones, and the Ida and the Pingala are pictured here. The Ida and the Pingala are the dominant masculine feminine channels in the body. The Sushumna is the one that actually the chakras line up with. And the Sushumna is the ideally balanced energies of the yin and the yang in our body, flowing upwards to create the lotus of the crown chakra. Now, in order to have this flow actuated in the body, you gotta have no chakras that are shut off. And at the same time, you can receive news that your brother was in a car accident, and right away you could have a heart chakra shut down. Or, again, you could find out that your company's going bankrupt, you're getting laid off, and all of a sudden, the root chakra is getting shut off. Or your spouse could yell at you and swear at you, and all of a sudden your throat chakra is shut off because you're not responding, you're holding your energy. There's a million things that could happen to shut off our chakras at any time in the day. And in fact, we will find people every day that have certain chakras that are closed off. It's not going to always be the same one. It depends on the circumstances. Although if you do have the same one shut down continually, like you are in a relationship and you can't speak your truth, then a lot of times you'll end up having thyroid issues later on. And I do think that a portion, besides the environmental factors and the toxins that come into our body that are affecting our thyroid, I think a lot of it is the fact that humanity can't speak their truth. And when we know it's the truth, the system tells us that's disinformation.
So, again, what is it? What is it? It's activated light body. This is when your already light body that you have is actually, you get more photons. The photons actually expand, and you're going to notice a difference in yourself. People are going to notice a difference in you. your whole life kind of can get turned upside down. And this is why I take this so very seriously, because people can really get hurt physically if you're not in balance. And I mean really in balance and have a strong spiritual practice. These extra light photons that come into your body and that you are sending out into the universe can kind of throw you for a loop. So we're very careful when we work on people, and when we hear about people having a lot of medical problems, well, this could very well be the activation of the light body. And so many people are sent to the doctor and saying, doctor, I need some help. I have really high anxiety. Well, your kundalini is opening up and it's hitting into blocks. That's the problem. So doctors are all very quick to prescribe something to stop this discomfort, when in reality, you probably need some energy work. You probably need some mind, body, breath. You probably need some spiritual coaching and something to really help you get past this, because these are the things that help us through. And you're not really going to find a counselor that's going to counsel you on this. It's almost impossible. You have to go through people that have done it, and it's not an easy thing to do. And yes, it is being forced on us. The universe is saying it's time, and we can activate it. We can put it back to sleep. It's really an incredible type of energy, and if we choose to utilize it to its fullest, can do miraculous things.
Oh, absolutely. Again, each one of these main chakras has its own resonant frequency. So when you're talking about like the music that we've done on Hearts OM and also on Patreon, and it's all about basically opening up the chakras, allowing us to ground and root, and allowing that energy to blossom and flow upwards. That's the natural flow. We do receive energy from the cosmos that comes into the crown chakra and works its way down into us, going through the different layers, and we also receive energy from the earth. And it penetrates us ground up. And so, you have the interplay of the yin and the yang, and that's the way it should be. It's a balanced experience. Again, each one of these chakras is an interdimensional gateway. And it's said that there is a Hindu deity that resides over each one of them. Why Hindu deity? Well, again, in my mind, and this is really what we've gotten from the guides, that of any of the major quote-unquote religions that are on the planet, and they are all affected to some degree by the control system, that is the closest to the reality, and it has still in it the most clarity and the most of the truths that come from the golden and the silver age still available to people. So we always start with Ganesha's, and it is traditional to start with Ganesha's mantra for rooting, because it is the root chakra. Om Gum. That's that gum. You could just even do that. Om Gum, and that'll start to. Well, as soon as I did that, the foot chakras are buzzing, tingling, and it's activating. And this is again something we need to have a daily practice. It has to be a daily practice if you really, really want to progress. You have to dedicate the time to it. And because we can be hit with just any sort of news, any sort of emotions hit us, any of the chakras can all of a sudden close. And this is where we have to learn how to have a little bit of a Buddhist detachment, especially in the challenging times that we find ourselves in right now.
Well, this is where you want the triggering traumas to be put to rest somehow, which is very difficult. And some people, we work with them, we have to go all the way back to childhood and figure out, okay, what is this trauma, and how things should have played out versus how they did play out, and help with that mindset and take that energy apart and then lay it back together in the way that it should. So it's like putting layers, it's like taking off layers of blankets because they're a big mess. Say your bed is a big mess, you have a bunch of blankets. Well, you just kind of got to take them all off and then layer them back on properly. And this is patterning. That's what I do.
Yes, and we usually often, it goes smoother when we make the bed together.
Yes.
Absolutely does. The masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang working together is the natural order of things. When you look to the new AMA symbol, instead of, and we've touched on this before, you just have one snake intertwined instead of two intertwining. They have basically taken that whole divine feminine component out. That is the compassionate side. These energies that are dominant on this planet are the Mars and definitely not the Venus. And it's all about creating imbalance, which will give us a weak aura. Even though we might be full of rage, if you look at your energy field, it's not going to be strong. It may be tinged with red and aggressive colors, so to speak, but it's not balanced. When our aura is weak, when our energy is weak, then the parasites latch on. Just think about, if you ever seen like a cow in the field and all the flies that are just constantly hanging around it and literally leeching off of it. It is the same thing with beings that are not typically visible unless your second sight is developed, and but very, very real, and they will attach to us and make us even weaker. Parasitic vampires are a reality, absolutely. You can create a stronger aura by balancing your emotions, by being able to ground and center. And, when we do videos that are very, very hard hitting, sometimes we're wiped after them. We are just wiped after them. And we'll have to just either go do mantras, do some Qigong, or take a 10 or 15 minute power nap. As soon as we go in, I noticed this years ago when I was working on a lot of people in person energetically, if I got 10, 15 minutes to lie down, I would feel my guides working on me and balancing the energy and removing all the gunk that I took off of other people that may still hang around me. If you are a burgeoning energy worker, if you're practicing, Qigong, Reiki, Pranic healing, quantum touch, any of those type of energy works, I worked on so many people that were energy workers because they would not take the time to build up their own energy field, what we call the Wei Qi field. And often we will take on the darker energies of others. We've had demonic attacks come through. We've had entities turning lights on and off and moving things with people that we've worked on. It has at times seemed to be like an exorcist type of situation, at which we will then go and Cindy will grab the sage and we'll start to do rituals to push the energy away, and we will basically create walls that they can't penetrate around the property and around ourselves. And this is just something that you have to do all the time. It's just like you don't go to the gym, work out once and say, I'm done, and you don't go back. No, you have to do it every day. It has to become a part of your regular routine. And creating a stronger Wei Qi field is something you can do with Qigong, with meditation, whether it's still or moving. Both can do it, but you just have to learn certain techniques to build and gather Qi. Perhaps the best and most efficient one that we know of is standing, which is also called Zhang Zhuang. And I'll look up something for you here.
That's very, very helpful. But if you come to us with a very weak aura, say you're not feeling well, you're just under the weather, one thing is going wrong after the next. A lot of people have come to us with like numbness, tingling. Doctor says I have MS. Well, they're going through an awakening and there's trauma. There's a lot of trauma, and the kundalini is getting stuck. It's getting hung up, and it can cause some really serious issues. So we can straighten that out. We can make the aura very, very strong, but that doesn't mean you do not have to address those traumas that made your aura weak to begin with. So it's just there's a responsibility that needs to be taken if this is going on in your life. Looking at your food intake, what you put in your body has so much to do with the energy, and if it's getting hung up on something, and if it's causing physical traumas. So that's what I'm talking about when I say we have to take responsibility for our actions and what we put in our mouth, because this energy can really, I mean, man, it can throw you. It can really throw you. To me, it's not to be messed with. I'm very serious about it. Serious about my work, and I do it very carefully, and I treat each individual person with kid gloves and like they're a very fragile egg, because it's scary. It's scary when this happens and you just don't know what's going on. Everything is changing in your life. And hey, help me here. You're not going to find much in the way of Western medicine.
If I could stress probably the two biggest, most important things I think to do are mantras and Qigong. Yoga is great as well. I mean, that would be our three. That would be our pyramid, really. And then you could add to it
physical exercise.
Yeah, physical exercise, diet. There are so many different things, but from the aspect of not just cultivating, your physical body, but that which does come with you when you leave the physical body, the energy, the chi that you can accumulate. And this book here, there's a PDF that you can search. It's called The Way of Energy by Master Lam Kam Chuen. I've done several videos on this, talking about this book. It's probably the simplest, best one you could get if you're just new to this. There's free PDFs of it. You could just Google it and you'll find it. Or you could order it. You could probably even get a used copy, not too expensive. Standing as he is here a little bit to the right there, embracing the tree, gathers the life force in. There's different stances with different intentions, fulfilling different reservoirs of the life force in the body and building your Wei Qi field. This energy that you take accumulates lifetime to lifetime. As long as we don't go up into the higher self, and that's something I'd have to get more clarification from the guides on, it builds with us. And again, the higher self is on a higher density than even when we're out of body typically. And perhaps again at a different point in time, as time is something that's done for the brain to handle this reality, and really is an illusion of sorts. But yet this is so powerful. This can build your immune system. This is really the practice that I feel led to me overcoming Lyme disease and putting it into like a sleep, where it's inactivated, because, it may still be buried in your tissues, as Lyme is a spirochete, but yet they're dormant. And when you have a strong Wei Qi field, you won't be affected by different pathogens like you would be if your Wei Qi field was weak. Again, weak aura allows the parasites to attach on and leach. And this is what the system is cultivating. So when you look to China is outlawed. And China was, the birthplace of so many of these systems. And then yet they've also outlawed them at different times. Because, when you do this and you do this on a regular basis, I don't think you're going to have the need of the medical system. This is how powerful this is.
No, I mean, a lot of people go through some really crazy things when it comes to physical changes and feeling like they need a doctor. And then they go into the doctor and the doctor says, there's nothing wrong with you. Your blood work looks just fine. Oh, maybe this little thing is elevated, but hey, it's not that bad. I don't know what you're talking about. Symptoms? What symptoms? usually when somebody's having this experience with energy, that's what they're going to hear at the doctor's office again and again and again and again, because it's not within their realm of understanding. They are only given a certain few amount of tools in their toolbox, and they use them on you. And if they don't see anything, well, then you're just fine. And that is maddening. I can tell you from personal experience and from working with other people, that is absolutely maddening when you keep going back and you don't understand. It's like beating your head up against a wall. But this is what happens when you don't understand energy and you don't understand what is an activation and you don't understand the world that we live in. You can just sit there and beat your head against the wall until you die. And it's sad. It's sad to see people not understand what's going on with them until it's possibly too late for the 3D anyhow.
And we've talked about him before. This is Li Ching Yuan, and I do have a book on his his biography. Interesting character, absolutely. He's holding a piece of ginseng there, said to have lived to 256 years. We have been able to make contact with him, and so we have been able to ask him questions about his practices on the other side. As you know, so that is part of Cindy's ability, is to contact people that are in what we would call the astral and on fourth density. And he said he was actually 300 or over. Yeah, I remember that Cindy was making a point of it. It's 256. No, I was over 300. But his primary practice was the Qigong.
It is the Qigong, and it was the standing, I think, holding the urn, because he shows me with his hands up and then his hands down. So there's different ways of doing it, but he did a lot of that. And then it did say in the book he had 26 some odd wives and a bunch of children, but I didn't get that confirmation. There was information that had to do with culture and what is taking care of people. So that was a bit of a misunderstanding that I picked up, but very interesting gentleman with a really interesting energy.
Yes, absolutely. And so the positions that she's talking about, holding the golden urn and waiting in a stream, are the yin and yang positions of a particular pair of vessels to build up the life force in. So that's getting a little bit deeper into the Qigong and the Zhangzhuang. And we'll share with you our library with what we have. We probably have 30 or 50 books on it. I would say there's a good chunk that we have on Qigong, and studied it for 30 plus years. Maybe it's closer to 40 now, as time flies. But when we're talking about the Merkaba is an activated light body that will enable you to travel anywhere. And, this is what we see people doing in our future. In perhaps just one more generation, it will be common for people to be able to do what only at this point in time advanced yogis have been able to do, which is just to sit down at any time, go into a meditative state, and leave the earth.
I gotta tell you, we have some very, very, very gifted people, and one of our number ones, and I hope we can get her on the show at some point, is Miss Jane, and I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning her, but she's just absolutely phenomenal. She's been learning Qigong for a very long time, and her visions and what she can see and her energy and what it can do is very far reaching, and she can do some really amazing things when it comes to prayer, sending energy, and she uses it in her practical life. She's if her children are sick, she's going to use that energy to help heal her children. She uses it on her dogs very often if they are not feeling well. And once you get used to this energy and you can see it making a difference time after time after time after time after time, it really reinforces that idea in your mind that there is so much more to life than what we see in the 3D. So there are practical ways to use this energy if you're responsible with it, and if you can get past the traumas and heal the body. At that point, then you start using the energy for things external you, and for purposes of healing, which is just wonderful.
Yeah, healing others, absolutely. So, with the Merkaba, then you can travel not just outside in our 3D, but through higher densities. And this is also a vehicle to the higher self. It is something that we should be striving to achieve. Yet, a lot of people, may be way more advanced than others. And that's because, again, there's a lot of skills that we've developed in past lives that will bleed through. Why can Cindy do what she does and not everybody? Well, it's past life. It's because so much has been devoted to this, and not all souls are created per se at exactly the same time. Some are older souls in that they've branched off from source at a much earlier time. And when we talk about the devas, when we talk about like Lakshmi, and a being like Vishnu, who is again what we view as the creator of this universe, these are ancient souls. And so the number of incarnations they've had in different places, experiencing different densities, is so far beyond the vast majority of people on Earth. Absolutely. This is why they're at that stage where they're literally creating universes the size of this one. And yet we each are in our own sense creating our own universe as we go too.
When I was little, I was very much a seer, and I could see things, and I see people, see energies, see whatever, and talk to whoever. And I did a lot of talking to my friend Jerry. It was all telepathic, so I was very familiar with that when I was very, very young. And when I found out later that no one else could see these beings and no one else was talking to them, that's when it kind of threw me for a loop, this energy that I had. And I went through some things, and life happened, and I didn't use it, and it's like the energy just sat dormant in me for so long. And then I was introduced to it again, and I wanted to use it because I had a daughter who came skipping out of the classroom, and she said, mommy, my friends have sparks. And I thought, oh God, she can see, she's going to have questions. So I wanted to be there for her. So that began my journey of reawakening. And Mike had a lot to do with that, helping me, guiding me, getting into the Qigong. A lot of it was my responsibility and what I decided to put in my body. I did go through a lot of difficulty because of trauma, because I didn't clear out all that trauma. So my awakening was a little bit sudden, whereas he had a lifetime of practicing. So Mike is like this giant shield, and his energy is very, very big, and it's far-reaching. And I'm a little bit different in the sense that I'm a bridge. I can see a lot of things. And going back to remember how I could see to childhood was very beneficial, because I had that. And a lot of people do remember seeing at childhood, and they just forgot about it, and they go on in life, and life happens, and trauma happens. And now so much trauma has happened, and they feel like they can't unwind it. But you can go back with these practices, mind, body, breath, watching what you put in your body. I don't think I can state that enough. It's the responsibility of ourselves, which is going to help this energy grow and help us be able to see the things that we want to see. Now, also keep in mind, higher self is in charge of a lot of that too. If higher self doesn't think that you are ready to see, you're not going to see. There's this responsibility about it. And if you're not in a supportive situation, usually these things are held back from you, or they're kept from you until a time when it is safe for you to see. So there's some trusting involved too. But there's definitely a lot to it.
Yes, absolutely. And, this shows that the human energy field ultimately is still a torus, again, drawing in the energy, the yin, the yang, and activating us. Again, this is our get out of jail ticket. Activated Merkaba, you cannot be controlled. Not in the bigger sense. They don't want this. Again, we can go where they can't go. When you look to the all-seeing eye, there's many different things they're representing there, and there can be representations of the control system, but also it's pointing out the pineal gland and, sleep, melatonin, and then the feel-good chemicals too, the serotonin. Obviously the pineal gland has been under attack with calcification by the system. This is why, the fluoride in the water. Obviously, there's so many references to all this, and there's a lot of different things you can do, to activate your pineal gland. And I know there's a ton of videos out there on that as well. One of the things is also follow the natural cycles, which now, is something we do. We typically get up when the sun's getting up, whatever that is. And we typically go to sleep pretty much, or at least head to the bedroom when the sun is going down, following the natural cycles. The bright white lights that they give us, the LEDs and stuff, all these things disrupt our pineal gland. Everything about this system is about disrupting human potential and the natural order of things.
Very important to take care of our brains, take care of our bodies, watch what we put in our bodies, so that if we're going through this thing, if this energy is activating inside of us, we're able to manage it and we have a better sense of what's going on. The other thing that I've discovered just recently too is people who have really high adrenaline or are very, very flighty, a lot of times they have more perceptive abilities, and this actually kind of leads into, really disturbed me in a way to find that out, because it does lead into the MK Ultra, where they would put people in situations, in high fearful situations, in order to crack open their psychic abilities and force open this energy, and then suddenly they can see all these things and they just completely freak out. And this was done through MK Ultra. It was done to a lot of people, and it was, using that adrenaline. So if you're somebody who's very flighty, you might have more perceptive abilities than average.
Oh yeah, it's just a tangled web that is woven. So why have they tried to fluoridate the water in the U.S. so much? I really think, again, it's because the U.S. has been the dominant power on the planet. So you can't have, as again, Rockefeller said, I don't need a nation of thinkers, just workers. And so, they want us to be the military and the policing force for the system, the control system, but they can't have us awakening. That's way too dangerous, especially when we are that policing and that military force. Well, that might be changing at this point in time. Everything that you see, all the symbolism, it's about controlling our consciousness. And about when they came and they took control of this realm, and they, using their little mani purses, right, and all the technology that they have, shut off the pineal glands of the masses. Not all of us, though, and again, some of us have spent lifetimes dedicated to meditation and awakening these abilities. And, starseed lightworkers, when you say that term, it basically means people that are here to help the others awaken, because we've done this in other realms before. We've been having lives on other planets and other star systems, and now have decided to incarnate here in order to awaken those that this is all they know.
And the other thing that goes on with an awakening is your past lives and your gifts from past lives do come online. They come into play. So it can be very confusing that way too. One day you might be really deep into numerology, and the next day you're really deep into tarot, and the next day, you're into some type of magic, and you can't seem to focus yourself. And that's because all of these other lifetimes are now coming into the body, and they're supercharging the light. Like I said, the light is coming in and it's moving up, and it can be very, very confusing. So just give yourself time. Be very, very patient with yourself. What I did with that, when all the energies were coming in at once, I just went with the flow. I tried to fight it. I tried to focus. I tried to force myself to be good, and I couldn't. So I just let myself range wherever I needed to go. If I needed to study, astrology, I did that. If I needed to study tarot, I did that. As soon as I let go of that need to control my abilities, then I was able to develop and bloom, and do all kinds of different things, and become a shaman of sorts, and have the ability to connect the 3D with all kinds of other dimensions.
Absolutely. And so this isn't the first incarnation that Cindy and I have had exposing the system. This is all we do here on Earth, ever since it was recreated from what was Tiamat, and is en route to basically regain her status as she was previously. And so we first came here in the Golden Age with those beings that we would call the Galactic Federation, and in particular Aset, that the world knows as Isis, in order to help restore things on the planet. And that much the guides have allowed us to see clearly, as well as little glimpses of past lives. And maybe I should restate, like, my last particular life was more of a pleasurable life before this one. This one's all work, so to speak. But we can still find pleasure in our work when it is our path. And this guy is finding pleasure in just having a little grass.
That looks like a good plan.
Absolutely. As always, guys, look forward to your questions. Thanks for being part of the family. If you do need to set up an appointment for energy work, Vedic astrology charts, if you want to see if you could contact your guides, your angelic helpers, or even people that have passed on no longer physically with us. Again, all the information is on every single video that's out there. Just click the little drop down. But you can reach us at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. Much love, source bless, and namaste.
Namaste.